haboim. Welcome everyone. We're about to begin Be'ezras Hashem together on Daf Chov Vav Amud Aleph at the new Mishnah. The previous Mishnah spoke about the Payis Rishon, casting lots to determine which Kohen performs the Trumas Hadeshin. The second Payis is to determine which Kohanim perform 13 different Avodos. And now the third Payis, says the Mishnah, HaPayis HaShlishi, Chadoshim Liktares Bo V'Hafisu. They call out to the Kohanim, those who are new, have not yet performed the Malacha of the Ketaris, the Avodah of the Ketaris, they shall come and cast lots. The Mishnah goes on to say, HaRevi, the fourth Payis, Chadoshim Im Yishonim, those new together with the old. That means that even those who did perform before the Korban Tamid, as well as those who have not, then we'll have the Kohen who is Zeiche in this Goral, in this Payis, to bring up all of those Evorim that were put on the Kevesh, on the ramp, in the second of the Payisin. He will then bring up all of those Evorim and put them on the Mizbeach and burn those Evorim on the Mizbeach. Says the Gemara Tana, Me'olam lo shona adam bo. Never did a person repeat the Ketaris. My timer, what's the reason that nobody did it twice? Omer Rav Chanina mibnei shema'asheres. Because the Ketaris had the segula of bringing wealth to the person, to the Kohen, who performed the Ketaris. And therefore, they want to allow all the Kohanim to have the opportunity to be misasheres. Omar le Rav Popil Rabbaye, my timer. What's the reason? In other words, what's the source? How do we know that somebody who performs the Ketaris has the segula of becoming wealthy? Ilem mishum dichsiv yasimu Ketaris ba'apecha v'ksi basrei beirach borech Hashem cheloi. If you're going to say it's because the pasuk says in regards to the Ketaris, those who put the Ketaris, the scent of the smell of the Ketaris before you out of glory for your kavod. And then the pasuk says right away in the next verse, Borech Hashem cheloi, Hashem will then bless your cheloi, your nechasim. Ihachi oilanami. Then if that's the case, then korban oila also, because the verse that states in regards to yasimu ketaris ba'apecha, in regards to the ketaris, also states v'kolil al mizbechecha, and you will bring the kolil, the oila offering on your mizbeach. And again, the same drasha would be true. The juxtaposition to the next pasuk that says ubarech Hashem chelo should go also on the korban oila. So the fact that we don't find the segula by the korban oila, ask the Gemara, why should we have the segula by the ketaris if the same verse talks about the ketaris, also talks about the oila? Answers the Gemara Malay, hashchicha v'alo shchicha. In regards to the korban oila, it's shchiach. The ketaris is not shchiach. And therefore, since the ketaris is brought, it's brought twice a day, once in the morning and once in the afternoon. It's a mana, pras baboike and pras bein ha'arboim. So therefore, since that which is shchiach, it's mistaber that's not going to get the bracha of Borech Hashem chelo, but rather Borech Hashem chelo will go on that which is not shchiach, namely the ketaris. Omar Rave said, Loi mishkacha asur b'mirabonan demari. Rave says we don't find that Talmidei Chachamim, at least groups of Talmidei Chachamim, that are found that are ones who then are Moreh Halacha ela da'asi mishevet Levi or mishevet Yisachar, only if they come from either Shevet Levi or Shevet Yisachar. Levi, it says in that pasuk we said before, Yaru mishpatecha liyakov. It says in the pasuk that they will give hara'ah, Torah, halachic decisions to your children. Yaakov, Yisachar, it says b'nei Yisachar yoidei bina liitim ladas ma'yase Yisrael. The children of Yisrael who know the times, they understand the various calculations of the times, determining to know when Yisrael, what they shall do. So we find in both Shevet Yisachar and Shevet Levi as the Mara Hara. Ve'ema Yehuda Nami. Ask the Gemara, let us say Yehuda also should have groups of Talmidei Chacham who give Mara Hara coming out from Yehuda. The Chesiv says Yehuda Mechaykiki. Yehuda is my one who provides the laws of legislation. The Gemara answers, Asuke Shmaitza Liba de Hilchas Ka'amina. We're talking about those who provide from the halacha the conclusion that ultimately lead to the halachic decision. Rabbi Yochanan, the Gemara now says, Rabbi Yochanan tells us, Ein mafaisin al tamid shel ben ha'arboim. We do not cast lots for the tamid shel ben ha'arboim. Ela kohen shezacha by b'shachri, zacha by arvis. The kohen who is zoiche in the avoida of shachris, let's say he's zoiche to then be the one who shoichet the korban tamid shel shachar, he will also then equally shoichet the tamid shel ben ha'arboim. Meisvei asked the Gemara the following question. It says in the Brayta, Keshem shemefaisin shacharis, kach mefaisin ben arboim. The same way that we draw lots for the morning, we will also draw lots for the afternoon. So therefore it implies, not like Rabbi Yochanan, who says we do not draw lots in the afternoon. Answering more Kitania Ahim Beketaris. This Braysa that says we draw lots again for the afternoon is talking about the Ketaris. And that fits well with what we said before. The Ketaris has the school to be Ma'asheres, whereby we want to give the more Kohanim, the opportunity to have the Segula of Ashirus. And therefore we cast lots not only in the morning for the Ketaris, but also for the Ketaris that's brought in the afternoon. Ask the Gemara still Vatanya. It says in the Brayta Keshem shemefaisin loy shachris kach mefaisin loy arvis. Here it says in the lashon of zochar, same way that we are mefais loy for it, which implies not the ketaris, which should be a female form. Therefore, implies the korban tamid. So too we do mefaisin. We cast lots for the korban tamid shel ben ha'arboim. Answer the Gemara ema law. Say that this brayso changed loy to law. It means the same way that we are mefayis, we cast lots for the ketaris in the morning, we equally cast lots anew for the ketaris in the afternoon. Ask the Gemara still v'hatanya. It says in the brayso, Keshem shemefaisin lo shachris kach mefaisin lo arvis, ukeshem shemefaisin lo shachris kach mefaisin lo arvis. So here we have both the male and the female, referring to both the ketaris as well as the korban tamid. The same way that we cast lots in the morning for both, we cast lots in the afternoon for both. Kasha on Rabbi Yochanan. Omar Rav Shmuel bar Rabbi Yitzchak hacha b'Shabbos askinan hoyel u'mishmoros mischad shois. This brayso is referring to Shabbos. On Shabbos, since the mishmoros changed, that means the mishmar hayotzei, they were the ones who were involved in the morning avodah. Therefore, they casted lots for the korban tamid shel shachar. However, the new mishmar that comes in the middle of the day, they're going to be responsible for the korban tamid shel bein ha'arboim. Therefore, they have to cast lots. So therefore, this brayso refers to not only the ketaris but also for the korban tamid shel shachar shel bein ha'arboim, even according to Rabbi Yochanan, because it's talking about on Shabbos. The Gemara now says, Maisi kulu ben safro. Oh, the Gemara says, Ulamai desolik adaite mikar nafishi luhu payos. Ask the Gemara, what was our original havamina? That indeed we would have them, yes, cast lots in the afternoon, in the korban tamid shel ben ha'arboim. If we would do that, that would cause an additional pious. Answers Gemara, Maisi kulhu mitzafra also. Really, they wouldn't gather together again. They would all do it in one gathering in the morning. The zachi beishachri zachi, the zachi ba'arvi zachi. What we meant to say in the havamina was, in that one assembly in the morning, they would cast lots for both the morning and the afternoon. Those were zoich in the morning will be zoich. Those were zoich in the afternoon will be zoich. The Gemara now quotes the Mishnah at the end that states Haravi, the fourth pious Chadoshim im ha Yishonim, those new as well as those old, those who were performed who did not perform the korban tamid yet, or those who have, yes, in the past performed the korban tamid, they shall come and assemble in order to then go ahead and make the fourth payas to determine who brings all of those evarim from the kevesh up to the mizbeach. By the way, just to emphasize, in the second payas, there were several kohanim that were involved in bringing the evarim up to the kevesh, the lower part of the kevesh, the bottom half. Now we're talking about in the fourth payas that there's one kohen who will be zoiche in the garal, in the payas, to bring all of those evarim to the top of the mizbeach and burn them on the mizbeach. The Gemara now says, Masnisin deloik Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov. Our Mishnah that states that there's a fourth payas over here, and this fourth payas determines who is going to bring up all of those evarim from the kevesh to the mizbeach, is not like Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov. Why? This not because it says in the Mishnah in Tamid, Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov oimer hamayle evarim la kevesh hu mayle oisin la mizbeach. The same one who brings the evarim onto the kevesh, he brings them up to the mizbeach. So that's clearly not like our Mishnah. B'maika mifli, what's the machlok between our Tana and Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov? Why does our Tana say that it's a different kohen that will bring up from the kevesh to the mizbeach, whereas Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov says it's the same one that brought from the to the kevesh will bring up to the mizbeach? Says the Gemara, because Berav Am Hadras Melech, Mar Sovak Berav Am Hadras Melech. Our Tana and our Mishnah says Berav Am brings the pasuk Berav Am Hadras Melech. That means in the multitude of the people is the glory to the king. The more people are involved in the avodah, that means that we separate and we allow a kohen separately from those who put on the kevesh to bring it up to the mizbeach, brings about a greater kavod, a greater hadar to the melech. Whereas according to Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, it would not be fitting, would not be derech eretz to the shechina that's present over here to then have half a job, and therefore those who bring up to the kevesh shall also ultimately bring up to the mizbeach. And by the way, that which the Tana Kama, the Tana of our Mishnah says that Berov Am Hadras Melech, therefore we have an additional kohen who brings from the kevesh to the mizbech. Why not have more kohanim? If it's Berov Am Hadras Melech, the same way there was several kohanim that brought evarim onto the kevesh, why don't you bring several kohanim to then bring from the kevesh to mizbeach? Why only one kohen? If Berov Am Hadras Melech, the answer is that you don't want to become burdensome, to see that it's a burden upon the one kohen. Therefore, he has to then have other kohanim that will bring from the kevesh to mizbech, rather to show the enthusiasm that this kohen can bring up all of those evarim to burn on the mizbeach he alone. Omar Rave said the following observation: Loi Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov Isled Rabbi Yehuda. Now Rabbi Yehuda is referring to over here the one who said that the machte, he said above in regards to the kitaris, that we do not do a separate payas for the machte, even though there are two people involved in burning the kitaris. That means really two people involved in the kitaris. One is involved in bringing the machte, to take coals onto the machte from the outer mizbeach and bring it to the inner mizbeach. The second one is taking the kitaris and burning onto the mizbeach hakitaris. So Rabbi Yehuda says there's no need to bring a separate payas for the one who's machte. The Gemara explained above that there's one payas, the one who is zoiche in the kitaris, and the one next to him on his right side will then also take care of the machte. So the Gemara points out, according to Rava, that Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov is not like that of Rabbi Yehuda. That means Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, he says over here that those kohanim that will bring to the kevesh will also bring to the mizbeach. They are not like Rabbi Yehuda. Rather, Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov would require that there be another payas for the machte in order to get a complete 4 payasim. V'roi Rabbi Yehuda isled Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, and Rava goes on to say, and the opposite is true as well. Rabbi Yehuda, who says there's no separate payas for the machte, he does not agree with Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov. He would say that indeed, like our Tana, there must be a separate payis for those who bring that coin that brings from the kevesh to the mizbeach. Because if not, there would be a shortage of payosos. There wouldn't be a full 4 payosos. There would only be 3 if they agreed with each other. And the Gemara goes on to say, if we would find a Tana that teaches that there are 5 payosos, 5 casting of lots, on top of beis, then it cannot be like neither Rabbi Elazar and Yaakov, who says there's 1 less lot, because he doesn't cast lots for bringing from the kevesh to the mizbech, and it cannot be like Rabbi Yehuda, who says that there's not a lot casted for the machta. So therefore, it can't be like either one of them. It must be a separate Tana who holds that there are 5 payosos.